Hey, hey, hey! Welcome to Jason is a Social Scientist by Mouth Daily. Pill number 1016. You might be wondering what the show is about. People often wonder what the show is about. The premise is deceptively simple. I take my HIV medication live on the book of face each day in front of friends, family, and strangers. Hey, Sarah Wild. I do so in order to embrace stigma, dispel ignorance, and find support. If I'd have people take only one thing away from this show, it would be the knowledge that HIV is preventable. Am I right? If you're HIV negative, there's a once a day. Hey, Pete, repeat. If you're HIV negative, there's a once a day pill you can take. They call it PrEP or pre-exposure protocol. The pill is Truvada, and if you're hi Kelsey, the pill is Truvada, and if you're HIV negative, you take it once a day, and it works like a hi Scott, works like a highly effective chemical condom. It prevents HIV. Hi Mama G. But if you're already HIV positive like me, treatment is prevention. By taking my medication every day and maintaining an undetectable viral load, it makes it so I'm not contagious. U equals U, undetectable equals untransmissible. You could fuck me bareback all day long and never catch HIV from me. It's a brave new world. The future is now. It's 1969. Free love. Hi Gia. Hello Bodil. Oh, you guys are all, you folks are all so nice to me. I appreciate it. Who else is talking? Brenda, hello. No, I couldn't. No, I couldn't. Sarah says I could spit some rhymes. I'm not sure about that. I used to write a little bit of poetry. Silly stuff. Not really rap, so nothing that you could rap, but stuff that rhymes. You know, I just, what are we talking about here? I'm trying to see your comments here. I can see more of them this way. I doubt it, Sarah, I doubt. Poems can be fun. I agree, Christina. Kelsey asks how I am. Tim asks, what up, Jaybird? Ceiling. Pete also wants to know how I'm doing. Oh, hey, Rel. I saw you came through and liked a bunch of my posts the other day. That was nice. Christina wants to know what's fun. Let's see. How am I? I'm alright. I start the whole partial hospital. I'm not doing that great because I'm. Otherwise, I wouldn't be. I guess I wouldn't be going to be hospital like with a partial hospitalization thing. It's like basically a group therapy all day. It's like the program. It's like the same kind of shit that you would do if you were that you do when you're an inpatient in the hospital. Like groups about mindfulness and I don't know what else. Just like mind and art therapy and breath control and I don't know 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 that kind of stuff. Like you know what I'm talking about. Of course you do. But then like it's the same kind of stuff that it happens when you're in the hospital, but you go home and sleep at night when it's a partial hospitalization. So, and then I'll be doing that Monday through Friday. I start next Tuesday. I'll do that for like a month. Right, Sarah says art therapy is her favorite in the psych. Right, that's the best part almost, I think. Scott Hughes is the milestone follower badge. 1 whole year following me. Mad love, now and forever love. I love you too, Scott. Thank you so much, man. What else house, but I got and Christina, this weekend I'll have the setup up there, up in the kitchen. Usually we do the show from right up there, that corner up there. You can see the iPad. All the toys are right around it. That overlooks over here, like the. Anyway. So Friday night and Saturday night, we'll be back where you'll see all the toys again. Yeah, I think it's good, Sarah, and that I'm getting some help. I think I just got out of the hospital a week or two ago. We'll see how it goes. Tom says, don't let it get to your head. Go in with an open mind. Have fun. I'm gonna try to have fun with it. I don't know. I have like a lot of. I don't feel like in some ways I don't feel like going home, right? Because I've had so much experience on the psych ward. I worked for 13 years as a nurse on an inpatient psychiatric unit, and I've had 6 of my own psychiatric admissions in 4 different hospitals. At least, no, it's got to be more than that. In 5 different hospitals. This is the first time, I had been out of the hospital and I kind of fallen out of treatment since about 2016. So, I don't know. Thank you, Brenda. I hacked. You equals you. Free love. Woo. So, what else? You guys want to hear all the latest gossip in the HIV community? Oh, I saw another post about how, never mind. No, it was like somebody was talking about a post in the philosophical group, like, why do women gossip? And I just commented, like, men don't gossip. And it just reminded me of that, because here I am gossiping. Kelsey wants to hear. So, this one person made and they're pretty active in the advocacy community, and it's not just, I think many people reacted really negatively, I don't know, probably a minority of people, but a loud minority reacted negatively to this advertisement, and it showed, it was pretty explicit. It said, fuck pause guys, and then for ACT UP is the group, and it had you equals you, and the letters were, the words were strategically placed to cover up the most explicit parts, but it was obviously like 3 guys fucking, I don't know, it was just really close up shot, and the ACT UPs, I was right over where the penetration was happening. Anyway, and one person thought it was disgusting. A lot of people thought it was over the top, and then another person that was also active in the HIV community said that it was hateful towards the LGBTQ community, and that he doesn't support you equals you as a sex message. And here I am, I'm biting my tongue. Not, I'm wondering, should I say anything about this or not? Because I fall pretty hard in one camp here about, but I don't know, whatever, I don't know. Uh, Nay. Hey, horsey. I gotta find my horse mask. It's not that juicy, I guess. It's just that U equals U is explicitly about sex, right? Is the studies that it's based on are about whether or not the virus can be transmitted through sexual intercourse. Hey, Daniel. I love you too, man. And so it's like inherently a sex message, I think. Whatever. Anyway. I started writing a couple comments, but then I always I changed my mind and decided I didn't want to post them. I don't know why. Like, I guess part of me feels like I should like state my piece about it, right? Because it's a public platform, and what's said in those places, people have, it's a platform where people have influence, and I don't know. Oh, I always like to see you, horsey. Hey, Cher Williamson. Hey, Laura, I'm doing the show right now.
Okay, thanks. Jeff just woke up.
Oh, what? Did he have a nightmare or something?
No, as I was leaving the room, he was like, Alex? And I'm like, no, I'll be right back.
I'm alright, Melanie. Hi. Oh, Sarah, that's no fun. Oh, that sucks. That's no fun at all, Sarah.
Yeah, Jack, I'll be right there, sweetie.
Hey, Kelsey Moore. Missed 11. That's okay.
Hold on, babe.
Right back at I'm reflecting those right back at you. Send it love and good vibes right back at you and everyone else. I just like to love is really cool. It's one of those things that one of the few things you give it away and you have more of it. It's really, love has interesting properties. Love only ever multiplies. It never divides. He came up? I didn't see him. This guy. I didn't see him. He snuck. Did he sneak in? That's funny. Anyway, yeah, anyway, it just, there was a lot of conflict there. And I kept wanting to wade into it, and I kept thinking better of it. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not very entertaining tonight. I think I was, Tim, wasn't I? I was feeling really stressed today. Really, really stressed. Yeah, I think that's true, Sarah. I think it's like I just been kind of, I don't know, just, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Okay, and in my own mind, I was like minimizing like the amount of trauma and pain I was feeling, I think, and I just was ignoring it like it didn't exist. And like my hospital stay and just like my recent therapy, like I have a therapist I've been seeing like once a week. It's like just like ripping a scab, ripping a scab off, and like all this like, it's like, I don't know, this big gaping wound that I haven't taken care of. I did get the sink fixed. Just did that today. All right, cuddle Juniper extra tight for me. Who's Juniper? Is that your dog? Or your girlfriend? Or who? Let's see. Oh, I worry about future problems too. Oh, well, that's sweet. That's sweet. You want a story tonight, Sarah? I could read a few nursery rhymes if you want me to. Love you too, Kelsey. That's funny, Stacy. Stacy says you and your wife need a boyfriend. Take some of the burdens off you and some fun. That sounds like a pretty good idea. I like that idea. I don't know. All right, you convince my wife, and then we'll figure it out. Yeah, I think that's what mindfulness is about. I think, Christina, like, you can't think about, because mindfulness is all about thinking about the present, being in the present moment. And yeah, the thing, I think the idea is you can't think about more than one thing at a time. And if you're thinking about the present moment, you can't be worrying about the future or grieving about the past. Are you applying, Horsey? Take applications, send them directly to my inbox. I think, did you have me look those up one time, Sarah? I think I looked those up. Hey, Jenna Ann. Bang, bang, skeet, skeet. Woo! Giddy up, Horsey, giddy up. Oh boy. I don't know. Hi, Cheyenne. Horsey's a stallion. Hey, Jenna, and did you have a top fan badge? Or are they sometimes like, I don't know. Hey, James McCready. I didn't share out either. Shout out to the supporters. The supporters actually pay money to watch the show. It's hard for me to fathom, but they do it. And I appreciate it, it's nice. Does it happen the same while you're watching, or is it like you come back the next day? You have to and you have to keep accepting it, or does it just pop on and off and up on its own? I don't know. I don't know what it's like. But I've only ever been offered a top fan badge on one page before, and I had to accept it. But is it like it says you had to go in and accept it, it's a badge? Does it make you do that every time, or it just does it? Hey, Michelle, I love you too. What song was what, Shannon? No, Yeah, that you don't. This show's meant to be free. Don't feel bad, Stacey. Don't feel bad. This show's meant to be. One of the things, like when you sign on to be a supporter, one of the things is that I say is that because you can offer supporters benefits like exclusive posts, exclusive videos, exclusive lives, and one thing that's always been important to me is that everybody can access the content on this show. There's no paywall. You don't have to pay anything to see anything on the show, and I want if I really do appreciate people if they're able and want to support the show. But I don't want it to be. I still want the content to be free for everyone. And so one of the I felt compelled to offer some benefit though, and so one of the benefits is offer. I wrote it out carefully because I wanted to word it so I can fulfill it. I offer one free shout out upon request per full pill. So like a full pill is the full 4-hour show and on top of the cabinets. And if you request and you're a supporter, you get a free shout out. Anyway, I still give out shout outs for free too, but if you're a supporter, you're guaranteed it. As long as I see it, I guess. I don't know. Anyway. Oh, thank you, Michelle. It's kind of you to say. Yeah, I give all my shit away for free, Stacey. If I remember for one thing, it will be the eggplant video. Dang it to heck. That'd probably be the case. Like in the future, the only thing people will know me for is that eggplant video. I haven't cut my hair for years now, Cheyenne. I don't think so. Oh, plants are fun to grow sometimes. All the plants I had were from funerals. One time I don't know, my wife and I were in a fight or something, and I was like, something about my parents being dead or something like that, and she must have said something about like how she was the only one who took care of the plants that I got from my parents' funeral, and I don't know, I got really pissed off. So I don't remember what it was about exactly. But I got so pissed off, I just went downstairs. I just cut them all down. It's like I don't give a fuck about these fucking plants. I think they grew back. Wow. The eggplant video involves both a metaphorical eggplant and a literal eggplant. The metaphorical eggplant inside the literal eggplant. Jenna, what did you forget happened? Jenna had caps, like his cap locks or mushroom caps? What kind of caps? Jeanette remembers the eggplant video. I have a PG or PG-13 preparation. I call it Preparation E. E is for eggplant. That's me like preparing the eggplant to be fucked. Oh my goodness. I cut the top off of it and then I had like this wooden handle of a spatula to like ram the hole. Oh. What's the the eggplant video? I guess I could explain what it is. So it was like probably a week or two after I was diagnosed with HIV, and I still had the feeling that I'd never have like bareback sex ever again, right? I was, I was just distressed in general about contracting HIV, and there was like in a Facebook group I was in, this young woman, she took a honey bun, one of those like, those spiral kind of almost cinnamon roll looking pastries that you can get, a honey bun, and she rammed it up her vagina, and then using her vagina muscles squished it out. You can search up that, like if you can search that video. That one really is sort of became famous. That sort of inspired me. I had been growing an eggplant in the garden, and it's the only thing I ever got out of that garden. Anyways, that inspired me to harvest the eggplant. And I cut off the end of it, and I made I had a hole, and then like I said, I took the wooden handle of a spatula, and I rammed it so I don't know, it was more pliable or squishy, and then I put my penis inside of it and used it as like a vegan fleshlight. I recorded it and posted the video on Facebook. And then sadly that eggplant went on to die of AIDS. I always tell that joke. It's a terrible and tasteless joke. It's because of I like to say, because it was before I started treatment. Oh, it's terrible. Am I blocking shared posts? I don't know what that means, but I'm not blocking anything. It'll spread me like a virus. Dang it to heck. No, U equals U. Undetectable equals untransmissible. Yeah, very American Pie-esque, right. No, please share the show. Spread me like a virus. What's most embarrassing about that video is I didn't come. I don't know, I think my battery was running low, I felt rushed. I was standing up, I should have been lying down. And I just was like, I got stage fright or something. I guess I wouldn't be a good porno actor. Anyway, I need to remake that video. Do it right. I didn't do anything about blocking. No, I want you to share. I mean, I'm happy for you to share. Please share. So that's the eggplant video. And so sometimes you'll hear, especially when Tiffany Vivalva is here, because she was around for, and there's other people that were around when we were talking about, when I first started telling the story about the eggplant. But yeah, you hear the phrase "veg on the reg." It's like I was a little embarrassed about and I was like, I don't regularly fuck vegetables. It's not something I do on a regular basis. And don't fuck veg on the reg. Well, only one other time when I was an adolescent. You know, when I was an adolescent, going through puberty, I was looking for anything the right size hole that I could put my penis inside, and you know, all the different shampoo bottles in the shower, none of them fit. Anyway, so then I got a cucumber. My cucumber was my vegan fleshlight, and I hollowed it out and microwaved it and used it. That was the only other time I fucked a vegetable. I think I did put a cucumber up my ass one time too. When I was like 20. I don't know, I'd never had anal sex before, and I wanted to I guess I wanted to see what it's like. Never been with a guy before. Anyway, so what else? Yeah, the best thing I ever fucked when I was an adolescent was the couch, ironically. Because people are always trying to buy couches on the internet now. How did we start talking about this? My goodness. Hey, Nishchala. No, the couch is right here. No, I had never fucked that couch. I just use it as a cum rag. I love you too, Jacqueline. Now I remember. This is your fault. We're talking about Sarah. Using your eggplant emojis. Is 10. 10. There's 10 cum stains. Now, the only couch I ever fucked was my parents' couch. When I was a teenager or young teenager. You can just look for the crusty areas. They're pretty obvious. You don't need a black light even. Yeah, socks were a regular. That was a regular go-to as a teenager. Yeah, we were stuck at 9 for a long time. I can't even remember when it was before 9. Why on the couch? You know, it goes along with the whole people want to buy my couch, and I'm like, that way when I try to sell them that, I can tell them how many because they always ask, does it have stains on it? And I can say, yes, it does. It has cum stains all over it. This is part of the reason. I'm sure there's other reasons too that I haven't articulated. All the trolls ask about stains. Saying to heck. I haven't had that yet, Horsey. That's a new one. But 10, William. That's not the weirdest thing I've ever done, Dylan. No, I don't think so, William. I think they're just only my stains. You were here for Pill 1000, weren't you, Dylan? It's the weirdest. The weather's, I don't know, it was cool today. The weirdest thing I've ever done. I don't even know what weird is. I can't answer that. Took the couch thing in stride, and that's why I'm still watching. It's cool as fuck. Josh trolls. I stuck around. I'm the the horse whisperer. I'm the horsey whisperer, and also the troll whisperer. the horsey whisperer. I like that too. Hey, for real. Like you could leave, Horsey. you were corralled, man. This is the Hotel California. It's a Roach Motel. You can check in, but you can't check out. William Ellis was about pill 570. Sweet, sweet. Pretty soon you'll be here for half the pills. I love when people start talking about how many pills they like. We get to measure time in pills around here. It's fun. Should calculate how many bottles that is. How many bottles have you been here, Horsey? You gotta divide your number by 30. I know you've been here a while, Horsey. Jenna, wow. 300. You got here at 340, or you've been here for 340 pills? Hey, Angel, peekaboo. I like it. Well, I only remember a couple of those, Jacqueline. That was early days. Like, was that after I had always guessed that one guy that punched me in the mouth or slapped me in the face? That's what he did. Anyway, what's in the box? I don't have any box. So how are you, homie? Now that you're home, I don't know. I'm all right. I think I'm okay. I think I was better before. I don't know. It's crazy how much time we've known each other now. For real, guy here about 195. You guys invested so much time in me. I really appreciate it. Some album got leaked before the release date. good morning, Jeff. Does time does fly, doesn't it, Carla? I'm glad to see you too, William Ellis. Jesse says, do you have to deal with any side effects of the pills you take? The new stuff they have me on, and we gained 50 pounds in 3 months. Wow. Which pill is that? If you mind asking, I'm curious which one it is, Jesse. You don't have to say though. Mine. I haven't noticed too many side effects. Like, I'm always sick to my stomach though, and I don't think my med is really related to it. I was sick before I started taking it. I always puke. That's not. Thank you, Carla Schultz. Right back at you. Oh, that's fun, Sarah. Sarah's been releasing monarchs. I don't know where my horse mask is, Horsey. Sonia said, I've been with you since pill 150. You've really helped me through some depression and some anxiety. If it wasn't for your show, I don't know what I would have done. Oh, that's really sweet. Well, thank you, Sonia, for being here, and you guys have all helped me a lot. Make it worthwhile. Keep doing it. I couldn't do the show without you all to interact with. Especially when I first started, I didn't have a voice. It felt like I was afraid of my own voice, and I wouldn't have been able to get on camera and just start speaking. I didn't feel like I had anything worth saying. But interacting with the audience, like, it makes it so I didn't have to prepare a script or I just made it more organic and whatever. I don't know what I'm saying. I did Suboxone therapy when I was struggling with opiate dependence. Yeah, that's rough. That's rough. Or maybe you can talk to the doctor about it. They can give you some ideas. Thanks for sharing, Mary Lou. Yeah, I've been, I don't know, it must be weird watching the show. Like, my mood goes, some days I'm like really, I don't know. Yeah, I got really skinny when my opiate dependence was really, like, when I was doing a lot of opiates. Yeah, I got really skinny. Yeah, I did a year of Suboxone therapy, and after a year, I would forget to take it for a week at a time, and I realized if I didn't take it for a week, then I really didn't need it at all. finally had a doctor that put me on a low dose of benzos. It helps, especially when I'm like just like really struggling with sleep and really anxious. That's awesome for real. Thank you, Shannon. Thank you for being here. I always prefer the macro dosing myself. Jared that said that. They gave me lorazepam. What are you asking, Dylan? Baba Kush. Thanks, Jared. That's cool, William. It's cool that you can find a doctor that's willing to do that too. Veg on the Reg Vivalva is here. We were talking about you, Vivalva, and the eggplant video. Oh, Mary Lou, that sounds lovely. Your big hug sounds nice. Thank you. Yeah, benzos can be really addictive for some people. I never for some reason, and I noticed like when I worked on the psych unit. This is just anecdotal. I noticed like from my experience, I noticed that people that were like really liked alcohol, really liked benzos. It seemed like it was like two sides of the same coin almost, right? Like, and it's, and also what makes me think that too is like the treatment for alcohol withdrawal is benzos. Like you give high doses of, like really high doses of benzo, like what you treat anxiety with anxiety for somebody with like 10 milligrams of Valium or 10 milligrams of diazepam, and to treat somebody in active alcohol withdrawal, you give them, like for the anxiety, you give them 10 milligrams probably every 6 hours, something like that, and then with somebody in active alcohol withdrawal, you can give up to 40 milligrams every hour. So and then if that's still not enough, then they have to go to a medical unit, get a constant drip of diazepam. And yeah, so I think and I just never liked alcohol. And benzos are a small dose will help me sleep, but I don't get like, some people really just love them, almost like it's a euphoric feeling with it. But I don't know. Other things trip my trigger, I guess. Anyway. This is alcohol and benzos is like a recipe for a felony. Probably for some circumstances that's quite true. Yeah, every hour. Alcohol withdrawal is really serious. It can be really deadly. They will get really high blood pressure, really high fever, and start going into seizures and die from seizures. Williams says, I hate alcohol. My mom was an alcoholic, and I swore I'd never be an alcoholic, but drug addict, yes, got that one covered. I don't even like the word addiction. I prefer dependence. And I really like, one of the things that I try to do in the show is to reduce the stigma of substance use. Drugs can have consequences, legal and social consequences, and but they're not a moral failing, and it's not something that people should be punished for. It's a symptom, and it's usually not. It's not the primary problem. Like, there's some other underlying problem that the person's having, that the drugs are just a symptom. For me, like, the underlying problem, like when I had my opiate addiction was like out of control, was my parents had both died, and I just like had this like hole in my heart that just like couldn't be filled, and I just was trying to numb myself. And that's the case with pretty much every addict that you talk to. There's like some underlying thing that they're trying to numb themselves from or escape from. Either like some organic brain thing or social problem. Anyway. Show says, and I now refer to my white coat given medicine as synthetic medicine or illegal drugs. I think, I mean, there is no difference, and I really appreciate the fact that medicine is starting to look at drugs like hallucinogens, like LSD and psilocybin and MDMA and ketamine. They're looking at all of those like what were considered like horrible drugs, right? That would ruin a person for the rest of their lives. Now they're looking at them and finding that they have pretty significant therapeutic benefits. They really help people. And so I don't know. Whatever. I don't make a distinction between synthetic or like things that come from nature can be really deadly, and things that come from a lab can be really harmless, and vice versa. And I think like the lab-made medicines keep me alive, right? And I depend on this medication so I don't die a horrendous, agonizing death. Okay. That sucks, Nishala. That's another reason drugs should be decriminalized and legalized. It's like the illegal nature of substance, like is a an environment ripe for abuse, and there's not limited options to protect yourself, because whatever that really sucks. If it was something that was legal and you wouldn't have to deal with all that shit. I mean, I think Jeff, we have to do what we can to survive, right? It's a lot of medication to take. Jesse says, story time. Yesterday I dropped a friend off in Queens. Finally found a spot in front of a chemical lab. Parked and stepped out into a puddle of vomit and about 100 capsules filled with random powder. There was a dude in a lab coat knocking on the door. Told the dude to answer to lock it behind him. This was 2 a.m. There were also medical gloves and wrappers for needles in the street. Strange thing was the pills didn't come from the vomit, and no lab is open at 2 a.m. Couldn't find anything online about them either. Interesting. John says, I take both. One group drugs and another medicine confuses the masses. I call them natural and synthetic. Medicine or both drugs, depends on how you use them. Now I think drug use is almost universal, right? You really have to go out of your way not to use drugs. I heard this once, I always like to repeat it. I think the 3 most popular drinks in the world are coffee, tea, and soda. And the thing that they have in common isn't that they taste great, it's they have caffeine. Like coffee and tea especially, you have to add, and sugar too. They all have tons of sugar in them to make them palatable. Usually, people can develop a taste for the bitterness, but it seems like anything with caffeine is sort of naturally bitter unless you add a ton of sugar. So caffeine is the drug that makes the world go round, and alcohol is the one that calms it down at night. And that's changing a little bit, but anyway. That's harsh, Horsey. Do they still work for you though? I'm sure you'd start taking them for a reason. Thank you, Angie. Sony says, back in the 70s, cocaine was real. Nowadays, it got all kinds of shit. Take it if you offered it to me for free. Or just had a close friend of mine died yesterday of a heroin overdose. It's so sad. I'm really sorry about your friend. Everybody, I'm not putting down anyone requires government to survive. Luckily, I do not much. It's okay, Jared. No, I'm not trying to make you feel bad about, like, and, like, I can understand the impulse to be skeptical of medicines. Worked as a psych nurse for a long time, and I'm pretty skeptical. I'm taking some right now, but I'm pretty skeptical of psych meds. For real says I have naked pictures, or it didn't happen for real. I don't believe it. I don't believe it for a second. William Ellis says if you grow up any plant for medical use or criminal who's manufacturing whatever, but grow for beauty, it's okay. Like, what the fuck? That's literally the case with poppies. I had this really cool teacher. He's a friend of mine now. We were in mock trial, in this rhetoric class, and we were preparing for mock trial, so learning about the law, and he gave us this article about how to, it was like an excerpt from this book that it taught you how to get the milk from milk of poppy, basically, and how to make opium tea, like with before the poppy turns into a flower, like it's got the pod that the flower's in. You go out and you make cuts on the outside of the pod, and then it bleeds this milky white substance, and you go and collect it each day. And if you do that for a bunch of poppies, then you collect that, and that's opium. And then if you take that opium and put it through a fine mesh screen, concentrate it, that's heroin, I think. I think that's how it works. And the reason he gave us this article about how to make opium tea is because the way the law was written, at least at that time, I don't know if it's still the case, that if you grew poppies and you didn't know how to make opium from them, it was legal to grow them. But if you had the knowledge to turn it into opium, then it was a crime. And he was teaching us that fact because he was asking us the question, or wanted us to think about, is it fair for something to be illegal just because you have knowledge? Like the only difference, like you're both doing the same activity, but because I know something that you didn't know, and the test case for this was this person had written a book about how to turn opium, or to make opium out of poppies, and he was growing poppies in his front yard, and the police, were saying, okay, this is illegal, and we can prove that you know how to do it because you wrote this book about it. Anyway. So now you know too, so you can't grow poppies anymore either. I just told you how to make opium from it. So none of you can grow poppies anymore. Jerry, you get even problems with agoraphobia. I have a really hard time leaving the house too. It's kind of you, Jared. I always have to take nausea. I always get sick when I'm around people. So I always take anti-nausea medications to leave the house. I'm may not seem like it to some people, but I'm a pretty intense introvert myself. I always like to say I'm like an introvert that's been ripped inside out and put on display. I think you can buy poppy seeds probably anywhere. funny, Tasha. Oh, Nick Ryan, how are you? Friendly dude. I always like to say mental illness is universal. That's my professional opinion as a mental health professional. It's redundant. But, yeah, I always like to brag about this. I worked for 13 years as a registered nurse on an inpatient psychiatric unit, board certified in psychiatry. And yeah, I think I define mental illness as really loosely as just basically as an inability to cope. And life, such as it is, we all reach a circumstance in life that makes it too difficult for us to cope on our own. And so yeah, I think we all get overwhelmed sometimes. Hey, John Holmquist, you don't have to be blocked by me. I used to use Compazine, but then when I was in the psych hospital, the doctor was telling me that there's a risk for tardive dyskinesia with Compazine, and it's a small risk, but it's a risk. So and Zofran doesn't carry that risk. Zofran doesn't work as well for me, but so I'm going to use Zofran regularly as like the preventative, and then Compazine if I really need it. John says, I hate people, but I still have friends. I think socializing is really painful for me too, but we're social animals, so even though it's something that's really painful, it can be uncomfortable, it's also something that's necessary. It's one of the cruel things about the human condition. Do you struggle with anxiety around people, Jared? I think that's common for a lot of people. Yeah, money's like a real bitch. Fucking A. Oh my goodness. Oh, no problem, Nishchala. I'm sorry. I love you for real. Are you heading out naked? Yeah. I prefer one-on-one too, Jared. You're too much fun for real. All right. Or she sells toys. Ticks scare me though in this job. I don't want to get ticks. That'd be cool, Michelle. Michelle wants to become a therapist. He's to help people have done behavioral therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy. And biofeedback. We got a year to try that. I haven't done that. I made the doctor leave the office. He said, why? I said, because you're so cute. You're making the electrode machine go so high. He laughed completely calm. They hook up electrodes like an EK imaging. So, it's amazing. It's funny. Raylene's here. Hello. You gonna go see Weird Al? Research and William says, I've done research and shit is all plant-based. How do you think we get MDA or SDA or shrooms or pot or opiates? All plant-based, even alcohol, corn. I agree. I think the line between natural and I think in some sense everything is natural, right? It all exists. It's all. I don't doubt you, Michelle. I don't doubt you. Everyone should be what they want. It's your own life, I think. Yeah. I agree with John. No, I think. I guess I'll disagree a little bit, William Ellis. I think there's a few things I think aren't drugs, like let's say air, water, food, sex. Those are all things that people throw around that they're addictions, but they can maybe people can maybe overindulge in those things, sometimes, or use them as coping mechanisms, beyond what they're. But the drive for sex and the drive for eating, those are all what the pleasure system is made for, right? That's what the whole system is created for in our brain. Or it's the reason it feels good when we eat, because we have to eat to survive. It feels good when we fuck because we're a species needs us to fuck in order to survive. you need air and water to survive, right? Those are like, and what like drug in the sense that when people talk about recreational drugs, I think it's about taking over that wiring system in our brain that feels pleasure for what we need to survive. It takes over that wiring and it makes us feel good outside of that. It makes us, it chemically makes us, triggers that same spot in our brain that makes us feel good for what we're doing to survive. But instead, you override that system and just use a chemical to release those, to give you that same feeling. And I think, I guess that's how I define drugs. It's like, at least the sense of recreational drugs. It's like it's overriding our natural hardwiring and basically give you a little button that makes it the feel-good button. Williams says, because when you embrace for a crash, the oxygen mask comes down and you take let's see. I was reading that like for divers when they want to hold their breath for longer periods when they're going for deep dives, they hyperventilate first, to build up the oxygen in their blood so they can dive longer. I think the reason are you talking about for a plane crash? I think the reason they released the oxygen mask is because if the cabin is depressurized and you're at high altitude, like 30,000 or 40,000 feet, like the air is too thin to breathe and you'd go unconscious within just a few seconds or and so you put on the mask so you can otherwise you pass out. And that's why they always say to put on your own mask first before you, a lot of parents' first instinct is to put the mask on their kid first. But it's always good to put the mask on yourself first because you can't help anybody else if you're unconscious. I played the pass out game too and press on the carotid arteries and instantly pass out. It feels like nitrous or that sucks, Sonia. Disc deterioration. I was prescribed tramadol, but since I smoked weed, they no longer give me my medication. I told them I smoke weed for anxiety and depression. They said I have to pick one or the other. Fuckers. It really sucks. Same E and HTP5. Everyone with anxiety panics, but use or try this. A little expensive, but all natural. I don't know. Alright. You were right not to do it, Tasha. It's dangerous. You can kill people. Yeah, I think that's like autoerotic asphyxiation is about that. It really does feel good. I was just thinking about that. I'm just not gonna do skydiving. I was watching some videos. Who doesn't, Jared? Who doesn't? Good night, Mama G. Jason, I'm a mess. I miss my father so much. It's been a month since he's gone. It hurts so bad. Oh, Joe, I'm sorry. I think after my mom died, I just spent 3 months in bed, pretty much. Took a short-term disability from work and just did not get out of bed. Everything anybody said to try to make me feel better just pissed me off. And so I'll tell you the one thing. The only thing that made me feel any better was this psychiatrist that I went to see, and he was an older dude, probably in his 60s or something like that, right? And he said that it's still his dad had died like 40 years earlier, 50 years or something like that, and he said it still hurt just as much as when it happened. But the only difference is now he didn't think about it every day, right, every minute, because for me, it was like that. I felt like all I could think about was my mom being dead, and every minute of every day, my thoughts were just consumed by that. And when he said that, he didn't think about it all the time. That that's something that I really felt like that could be real. When people would say, "Time heals all wounds," or "It'll get easier," or I don't know, that she was at peace, or anything that made me try to make me feel like I'd be okay, that I'm okay with the situation. No, I'm always gonna be pissed off that my mom's dead. I'm gonna always be pissed off that the circumstances of her death. I'm never gonna be okay with the situation. And what that psychiatrist said left room for that, right? And it's still true. I still am. I still really grieve my mom's death. But it's also true that I can go a week or a month without thinking about it. So, again, I'm sorry. It sucks, William Ellis. One thing about I still pin my hopes on that they'll find a cure for it. But as time goes on, and I'm running out of time here. There's always regret and regret when somebody dies, guilt and regret, all that pain. It's got to be somebody's fault, right? I don't know, I think at least my mind is always searching for, when I'm really upset, it's always searching for the cause. So I gotta put it somewhere. I agree, Tasha, it really is. time to want to die. I don't want to grow old to an old age. Never die younger. It's I don't know, like life is just a contradiction. Maybe, Horsey. I'm hoping. Yeah, enjoy the ride, not the destination. John, I'm sorry you feel that way. Sometimes I can't wait to die, but life be easier for me, but no one. Sometimes I feel that way too, but I don't want to die at the same time. I'm scared to die, but sometimes it feels like life is too hard to live. Jared's got to load some medicine into his intake device. I'm sorry about your fiance, Michelle. Michelle's okay with that, just afraid of suffering. I hope you don't suffer, Nishala. Somebody says, I'm very close to my grandma on my dad's side. She raised me. When she passed, I thought I was going to die too. Still to this day, when I think about it, I cry. I know they say time will tell. It's hard when it's somebody really close to you. It is. William Ellis said, I've died twice for being truthful. Took myself out twice. Is that fentanyl? Wow. I'm glad you're still here, William. Jared says life should not be a journey to the grave with the intention of arriving safely in a pretty and well-preserved body. I like this quote, but rather to skid in broadside in a cloud of smoke, thoroughly used up, totally worn out, and loudly proclaiming, "Wow, what a ride!" It's funny that you mentioned that quote. One of the therapists in the hospital referenced that quote when I was in the psych unit most recently. I almost died too with opiates. I knocked myself out woke up with the needle still in my arm. I was really close. I'm glad I'm still here though too. Sometimes I wish that I hadn't. I'm really in a dark spot. I wish I hadn't survived that. It's because it was like after my parents died, before my kids were born. And like no one would have missed me. Now I've got these damn kids and they're like chained to life here. Jamie says, so I'm just coming into the conversation, but wanted to say I agree with Jason. Mental illness is a nationwide thing. I'm a full-time artist. My work and just other life shit will keep me up for several days just working on so many different things at once. It's chaotic. I can't keep my mind from racing. It ruins me at times. Then when I'm down, it's like I'm dead to the world, and that can last even longer. My ups and downs have been getting worse and worse for several years, staying up for days, then crashing, and up again. It just has never stopped. I thought it was just me, normal, because I had tried antidepressants in the past with no luck. So I've just been trying to cope. I advised earlier this year that I have a type 2 bipolar, trying to cope with knowing this and scared to try meds. My PCP is trying to give me, but I'm hopeful. I think there are good treatments available. One of the other patients I met on the psych unit was dealing with something similar. It's probably hard because probably those up times probably feel kind of good. I don't know, for some people they do. Thanks for sharing. Michelle says my birthday's in a month. Not sure if I'll make it past that. Not sure. Miss Jala. I want you to. Bruce, I know you've been having a hard time lately. It's been a good week. I'm getting on well. Good. And 3 days away. Hugs, love for being a friend. My daddy died around 16. He was 50. His only son. His name was Bruce Edward Lusty. The first, I do not want to die. If little was told, you died 13%, 2019. Thank you for being a friend all this life, coming right from the weeks ago, man, that took his life, but not going to live. That's really hard, Bruce. Suicide is really difficult. So, just leave so many questions and pain. I'm sorry you're having such a hard time, Nischala. Horsey says, I always figured I'd burn out like my heroes at 27, but that didn't happen. That's good. That's good, sir. Life is a roller coaster, says William, filled with ups and downs. Gotta get it all with life. My son changed my mind on a lot of things, said Jared. John says life is always better living. Life can be hard to live. Jamie says the ups are like euphoria at times. You're welcome, Jamie. Or says this is honestly like seeing a therapist if you think about it. Jason does ever do. I'm not licensed as a therapist. I was trained to lead a group, but I'm not licensed as a therapist. Michelle says, I was crying tonight. I was just so depressed. My mom got tested for lung cancer. Thank God doctor called today and said cancer free. That's great. I can't live without my mom or dad, brother or sister. I need to go first. I'm youngest. A lot. Like losing people is really scary. She says, Jared, I always wanted to be a mom. Not gonna happen though. Being a dad really, I don't know. It's been really. I think after my parents died, having Jack, having both of them, but Jack was born first. Just filled that hole in my heart that was left after my parents died. They sort of saved my life and gave me a reason to live again. And then when I was diagnosed with HIV, similar kind of hole, it was felt another thing to grieve, but I knew having more kids was not the answer to solve that felt like I'd failed my kids, and having more kids would just be a failure to them as well. And it was the show, the show was my baby, I guess. My new baby that gave me a reason to live again, gave me a reason to live one more day, swallow one more pill. Hey, share. William says, we all have the fear of dying, most. I conquered that fear for myself. Dying and being brought back will give you plenty of insight of what death really is. I don't know. I always think of death as like, what I envision is like, try to remember what life was like before you were born. What was it like before you were born? I think being dead will be very similar to what it was like before you were born. It'll go quickly. I don't remember the first 4.5 billion years. I think the dying part will be, like, when you die, like a lot of cells start to die in your brain, and those brain cells contain a lot of neurotransmitters, and your brain gets flooded with neurotransmitters. And that, all the parts of your brain get activated at once, and it feels like the euphoria, also like the white light, and your visual cortex gets activated. Thank you, Jared. Have you ever had any work to deal with your trauma, Nishala? It's like, it's what I'm kind of in the middle of right now. And I don't know, it's really hard. And it feels like, for me, it feels like, I don't know, it just feels like, I'll let you know how it goes. But for me, it feels like it's all just a big waste of time. It's not gonna help. I'm like doing all this painful, dealing with all these painful emotions for no good reason. Maybe it'll be beneficial. I don't know. You didn't get the bright white light. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Nishala, that you're feeling so hopeless. It sounds like you're feeling really low. So, hope. I never tell people what to do. I think for me, it's been, I think getting help is better than not getting help. I just hope you can find somebody that could give you some help. And I would say, Nishala, sometimes it can be, like a voice can in my head can tell me that it won't matter if no one would care if I committed suicide. And I think the person, the closest person that I've had that committed suicide is somebody that used to watch the show. I met her in the psych ward. This is the greatest young woman. I really liked her a lot. She was in person here too, like on the show twice. And I still grieve her death. And I know there's other people that watch the show that only interacted her just through the comments on the show. And her death really affected them. And I know it affected me. If you catch me at the right time, I can get pretty emotional about it. And yeah, people don't get over it. They don't. Eileen, the first time I met her, because I told people at the beginning here, I'm starting the partial hospitalization program next Tuesday. It's like 6 hours of group therapy, similar to the program you get on an inpatient psychiatric unit, except you go home to sleep at night. And I was like 3/4, I'd been there, you stay for about a month, and I'd been there about 3 weeks, and all of a sudden this new girl comes in, and she was 18 at the time, and she's just so well spoken, and she had a blog that she had like 20,000 some followers, right? And here I was still working as a nurse at the time, and I was like, it was sort of my group, right? It was like I don't know, I felt like like just people looked up to me, and I felt like the co-group leader almost, right? And all of a sudden, this young woman comes in, and she's like, steals my show, and I was like sort of pissed off about it. I mean, not really, but I was just really impressed with her as well. Anyway, so yeah, I was just really impressed with her, and then I got discharged, and I probably never would have seen her again, except about a year, 2 years later, something, I forget the timing, I got admitted again to an inpatient psychiatric unit, and I arrive, and lo and behold, who's there is Eileen. She was like, so we're on a similar psych schedule, I guess, like we have breakdowns around the same time, and so then the second time we met, like it was cool, just like we knew each other, and we were kind of hanging out, and so then we exchanged information, and she started watching the show and be in the comments, and yeah, and so she just, and then cause after that she came over and had dinner at our house and hung out with the kids, and she was on the show twice, and then it was Pill 208, I think, my first Mr. Rogers, like they were doing playing every episode of Mr. Rogers on Twitch, and so I was playing that in the background. She was saying how Trolley was her favorite character, and I finished the show, and I woke up the next morning, and she was dead. And I went back, and I go back now, and I read through the comments on that show, and I can see her saying goodbye. And I just wish I had paid more attention, and yeah, I just wish I would have paid more attention. Inshallah, that's really, I'm sorry. That's really scary and tragic, and it's hard that no one talks about it either. Parents busy with younger siblings and stuff. The older sibling was doing it. Yeah, middle child. I was the youngest, so and by long, I was almost like an only child because I was so much younger. Hey Kyle, Steve Smith, Laura Brendel, hello. And we care about you, Nishala. I care about you. Oh, I'm glad you feel safe talking about Nishala. If you're if you're feeling unsafe and feels that is a medical emergency. If you feel like you're not going to be able to stop yourself from giving in, that's a medical emergency, and I think seeking immediate help is always an option. When people would call the psych unit looking for possible admission, because we couldn't do a direct admissions during the night, right? And what I would tell them is, if you're with somebody, you feel safe. You can, be safe until you make an appointment with your doctor the next day. The doctor can facilitate an admission. But if you don't feel you can be safe until you see your doctor tomorrow, you can always call 911 and come into the hospital. And then from there, the social worker would do an assessment and could look at admission. But 911 is always an option if someone's not safe. Sorry, Michelle. I don't know, sometimes I think, I don't know, everybody deals with things differently. Glad a friend I thought was a friend turned me onto your page. I'm glad you got here too, John. Youngest to my mom, but oldest to my dad. That's kind of funny, Danny. That's a funny position to be in. You get to be the oldest and the youngest at the same time. That's fun. Text line, is that like a? Never heard of that. think it was. Maybe it was Newton. Newton said it. Maybe. Yeah, I think I believe in the butterfly effect, like in a metaphorical sense or an abstract sense, like kind of thing is if you because you spilled coffee in the morning, made you leave 5 minutes later, and then because you left 5 minutes later, you got in a car accident and that sort of thing. Rachel says, "I'm incredibly blue to see you blue." I always was cheerful watching your antics. Not your responsibility to maintain and carry the happiness for others, though. Thank you for when you do. I hope you begin to see a ray through those clouds. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you. All right. Thank you, John. You're too kind. Thanks for stopping in. Michelle says, yep, you can text 741-741 for crisis support over text. That's good information. Thank you. I first used it while living with an abusive person. It was great because I could get support without using my voice where she could hear. And that's really great. That's really great advice. Thank you. Michelle says, really, Jared, it's like I have to know it's sick, but I feel closer when watching them. It's not, I don't think it's sick at all. It's just doing what you need to do. I wouldn't judge yourself. Good night, Jared. I think I'm probably gonna head to bed soon here too. Anybody have any questions or answers? Jared's sticking around. I think I might be heading out. We can talk for a little bit longer though. Sonia says, when I came out of the closet, I was told by some of my family members that my depression and anxiety has to do with it. So if I would just be like everyone else, normal, I would be happier. I just laughed and they got mad. It is laughable. I don't know. That reminds me of like the story about my mom. I was telling my first hospitalization was like it was before I was diagnosed with HIV. And it was largely just like the fallout and consequences of like embracing my bisexuality. Like it really caused a lot of problems in my marriage, and like having an open marriage was really just difficult. It came with a lot of consequences. Anyway, and so like I hadn't come out. Like I'd come out to my wife before we were a couple. Like we were just friends, and told her that I was into guys, and so that was like it wasn't something I kept from my wife. But I didn't tell I didn't tell my parents. I didn't tell the rest of my family. I didn't tell my friends, and so at first I'd come out to my wife when we were just friends, and I was planning on telling everybody else. But it wasn't long after that Laura and I became a couple, and then it sort of seemed like a moot point. Here I am getting married to a woman. Like, why do I even have to tell people this? But I was explaining to the group and my therapist, right? Again, after this hospitalization, and I was explaining how when I was growing up, my mom would have been accepting, right? She would have, she always told me that she didn't have a problem with homosexuality or homosexuals, right? And that she wouldn't, what did she say exactly? I forget now. I think that she would still that's what she would say. Like, if one of her kids came to her and said that they were gay, that she'd be sad for them because it's so hard for it would be so hard for them to grow up in this there's so much discrimination. Is that what she said? Anyway, she used to say too that the only thing she really wished for her kids is for them to be happy. And this is kind of gets to my point right here. Sorry, Sonia. Long, convoluted story. The only thing she wished for her kids to be happy. And you were saying how your family said that if you were just normal, then you wouldn't have this depression and anxiety. And so I took it as the fact that the only thing my mom wanted from me was to be happy. It was like it was a point of how she was a great mom, or what a great. I was sort of saying what a great thing it was, and the lead therapist in this hospitalization says, she put a new twist on it. She's like, that's a lot of pressure to put on a kid, right? To want them to be happy, or to. And she's like, what else could what else instead of happy? What else could she have used? What other words could she have used that wouldn't put so much pressure on a kid? And I couldn't think of anything. In my mind, my mom was perfect, right? She did everything perfectly, and she said, well, and I'm like, I was stumped, and she's like, well, what if we change happy to authentic? And because sometimes being yourself isn't a road to happiness. Sometimes being yourself can actually cause a lot of problems. It can cause pain. But it's still probably better to be yourself, even if it hurts, than to be something fake. And so I really like that. I'd rather be authentic than be happy, I guess. Anyway. Yeah, I think I hate being on the phone. I agree, Nishchal, sometimes texting is easier. I don't know. I don't even see Matthew's comment here. Michelle says, Jared, you mad at me? I'm blocked. I don't know. Maybe some Facebook can glitch out too. You causing problems, Matthew? No, I don't know, Michelle. Sometimes I just like to wallow in misery. It's more comfortable. Sure does. That's why I come on Facebook Live to commiserate. Cat Power song I left in the comments later. I'll try to check it out. Is there any way I can mediate this conflict? I think I hope people get support. I hope people get support from the show. I know I do. What are you sorry for, Michelle? Hey, Laura Stanton. Hello, Mr. Owing. I hope he's doing well. Oh. Well, someday I'll stop. I made a commitment to take the pill every day. live until I don't need to take it anymore. Oh no, Michelle. I think I'll take the blame. No one's to blame though. Sometimes there's just the show. I wouldn't want the show to be happy all the time because then it would be fake. Then it would be fake. I'd rather have the show be authentic. And sometimes I'm just authentically in a shit mood. It's almost 4:20 here. Like I said, you're fine, Michelle. I think in a lot of places that's the case. I'll take a dab of whatever you got. I've been a snob though. I only do dabs now. I don't know. I think that's not really appropriate now, Matthew. Is it? To stir beehives in such a when people are talking about such serious subject matter. I didn't see what happened, so. I would tend to disagree. I don't know. I didn't see what happened, but I don't know. I think intentionally upsetting people when they're whatever. We each make our choices. Why would you dab a G at a time? It's like a waste of money, man. I heard about the first vaping related death recently. From what I heard is that all like there's been like 37 hospitalizations or something, vaping related hospitalizations, and they weren't able to pinpoint a common thing that they all vaped. Like some people vape nicotine, some people vape CBD, some people vape or THC. And but what but why now though, right? People have been vaping for years now. Like, why all of a sudden this cluster in such a short period of time? And it's interesting. Yeah, I remember Steven. What about him? I'm sure he's still around on one profile or another. And these shows were supposed to be shorter. I'm doing well, it's vaping probably better than smoking. Is vaping Juul bad? I mean, I think the long-term effects of vaping aren't fully understood, and nicotine can still have. But I mean, I think it's better than smoking cigarettes, though. Hey, Sophie. Cheers right back at you. I don't think Matthew will ever be Steven. I think I'm gonna wrap it up. Love you too, William. Let's see. I'm gonna start the music again. Pill 1016. Alright, so some of you might be wondering what the show is about. People often wonder what the show is about. Oh, it's time, Joe. I'm sorry. The premise is deceptively simple. Hey, Cindy Lou. The premise is deceptively simple. I take my HIV medication live on the Book of Face each day in front of friends, family, and strangers. I do so in order to embrace stigma, dispel ignorance, and find support. After 1,016 pills, 1,016 shows, the number of bells, whistles, and bows have risen up and around and about the show. The bells, bows, and other people, the people that come back night after night and give me their most valuable resource, their time. To me, that's the most significant thing that's risen up and around and about the show, the community. Therein lies the support that I was looking for. but a number of bells, whistles, and bows have risen up and around and about the show. Ding dong bell, boy does she know how, I mean heck, this show has it all. I like to say that it is Cloud Atlas and that it incorporates at least 600 years of entertainment, with Edward R. Murrow's radio broadcasts on record and cylinders played on a 19th century Edison home phonograph, along with a nursery rhyme book from my childhood containing woodcut illustrations from the 15th century. It is, in a sense, also The Matrix. In a previous iteration of the show, I created something I call the Rainbow Tunnel, in which I harnessed the power of Grayskull and the Eye of Thundera, funneling them through a series of warp nacelles, creating a static warp bubble and a subsequent singularity, punching a hole through the fourth wall, across the multiverse, and into the source. The show now takes place in an echo chamber, created by me, that serves as a way station between our reality and the source. I don't expect lay people to fully understand, as this is advanced social science. Yeah, so the show is also like an old-timey variety show, Carol Burnett style, mixed with the merry melody of Looney Tunes and a measure of Mork and Mindy, a dash of Mr. Ed, and two doses of Alice in Wonderland, a helping of Hee Haw, heaps of Benny Hill, a hint of the Highlander, tons of the Twilight Zone, a tincture of Teen Wolf, an ounce of Oz, a cup of Creep Show and Castaway, a quart of Quantum Leap and a gallon of Gilligan's Island. It's a 4-hour show on a 4-hour tour. Piles of Pee-wee's Playhouse, a pinch of Peter Pan, a pound of Popeye, I Am What I Am, a whole block of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and a ration of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. I'm just a sweet transvestite from transsexual Transylvania. Ha ha. Come up to the lab. See what's on the slab. I can see you shiver with anticipation. Touch me. I want to be dirty. Thrill me. Chill me. Follow. Fill me, creature of the night, an undone Benjamin Button, a corny ear of Dumbo, a college try of I Spy, a couple of raw strokes of Bob Ross, a spoon full of Mary Poppins, and the full Monty Python. Finally, lumping Rick and Morty with a leader of I Love Lucy in the Sky with diamonds and wham bam. Thank you, ma'am. You've got the show. Everything is out of place and out of time here, including and especially me. April will always be pregnant. Harambe will always be ready for her high fives the first. On the second coming will always be risen with the Obamas getting blowjobs from the Woodies. The Supermen and their boners will always be spinsters and sempstresses working in the sweatshop. The Twin Towers will always stand with Lady Liberty. You will have their MTV. Pigs will fly. Disco and dance will reign. Like men did in the days of old. I write nightly the future history of anachronism for your future children and your elderly grandparents. May they enjoy it now and time immemorial. If I'd have people take only one thing away from this show, it would be the knowledge that HIV is preventable. If you're HIV negative, there's a once-a-day pill you can take. They call it PrEP, or pre-exposure prophylaxis. The pill is Truvada, and if you're HIV negative, you take it once a day, and it works like a highly effective chemical condom. It prevents HIV. But if you're already HIV positive like me, treatment is prevention. By taking my medication every day and maintaining an undetectable viral load, it makes it so I'm not contagious. You equals you. Undetectable equals untransmissible. You could fuck me bareback all day long and never catch HIV from me. It's a brave new world. The future is now. And it's 1969. Free love. Woo! Pill number 1016. 1016. Down the hatch. We are robot. And it's down the hatch. Good night, everyone. Come back tomorrow. I'll have more ideas for you. You'll have things you'll want to talk about. And so will I. But alas, now it's time to say goodbye. I love you all. Thank you for spending so much time with me and sharing personal things and being open and supportive of one another. I love you all. Good night. Mwah!